Welcome to Baton Rouge. Stanford has made the trip to the banks of the Mississippi to face Kim Mulkey, her Tigers, and about 10,000 of their friends at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. It's one of the final games of the SEC ACC Challenge. Kate Pay and Stanford representing the ACC as it's LSU and the Cardinal. And it is great to have you with us. With Christy Thomas-Scuddy, I am Eric Freed. Let's start with an LSU team that is undefeated. They're good. How good are they?
Well, every Kim Mulkey team is always going to have defense. They're always going to have rebounding. LSU also has the third best offense in the country right now.
They got an excited guy behind us, too. That's how pumped up they are in this building. And how excited are they about Flauget?
Well, Flauget has elevated her game in every way. Points are up by 7. Rebounds are up. Field goal pursuit is up. And she's been on a tear from deep. And if she gets out in transition tonight, look out, Stanford.
It's almost a guarantee that she's going to go for 20. She's 9th in the country in scoring and a little bit better than 22 points a game, and so efficient from the field. One of the most improved players in college basketball is the leading scorer and rebounder for Stanford, Nunu Aguirre.
Nunu Aguirre is just a next in a long line of Stanford great post players. She bided her time a year ago behind the likes of Cameron Brink and Kiki Iridoffin, and you see a little bit of their games in her own. She's good off the bounce. She's great on the glass for the Cardinal, and if you give her space from deep, she will make you pay. And yet, Eric, she's also a lefty, which adds another element to why she's a matchup issue.
Sophomore from Minneapolis waited her turn, averaged 5 points and 6 rebounds a game last year. You see her numbers this year, as I said, leading Stanford in both those categories and sharing the ball. That's something that Stanford has done very well under Kate Pay so far. We are ready. LSU in whites, the Cardinal in the black with the Cardinal trim. Tiffany Bird throws it up, and the opening tip is controlled by LSU. Here's Michaela Williams. Samaya Smith out in the starting 5, left the last game with an injury, but she looked fine in practice and in shoot-around. And Williams gets things started with the 3. Stanford starting 5, including Nunu Aguirre, Lena Bazgana, Brooke Dimitri, Janiyah Harriel, and Tess Heel rounding out the starting 5. There's no Talana Lapolo in the lineup or on the trip. She's been battling an injury.
And Stanford wants to try to protect the paint against this LSU ball club. They talked about the 3 X's, building a wall around the rim, trying to make LSU beat them from deep.
There's the rebound for Aguirre, and here comes the Cardinal the other way with Heel for Harriel. Excellent 3-point shooting so far for Stanford this season, 44%. That's number 1 in the country, but a turnover here. They have to take care of the basketball. As you take a look at the starting 5 for LSU, Smith gets whistled for the travel out there with Williams. Flauget, we talked about going for 20. She's gone for 20 or more 12 times in her last 17 games. Remember, she was red hot at the end of the season in the NCAA tournament. She's kept it going here in her junior year.
You could almost say she's just been on fire to start this season, and it's how she's done it. 40% of her points coming in transition, and that's the key to LSU's success so far this season, turning teams over and getting out and running.
There's Aguirre on the glass, and that's a good sign for Stanford. This is a team, as you mentioned, no Brink, no Iridoffin, but there are no slouches on the inside, especially with Aguirre leading the way.
Well, what I see in the offense for the Cardinal this season is a team where the ball doesn't stick. The ball is moving side to side, and I think puts a lot of pressure on opposing defenses.
You thought there was pressure on Stanford to get off to a good start here in front of this loud crowd here tonight.
Absolutely, and right now the ball is moving well for Stanford, so you're seeing them get some high percentage looks. But a good start was key because they do not want to let this crowd get into this game and stay in this game.
After the Williams 3, 7 straight points for the Cardinal. Ariel getting the most recent 2, and now Heel comes in for the rebound. Johnson gambled on the steal, couldn't get it. Aguirre's got the offensive rebound and takes it inside for 2 more. And the foul. What a start for the Cardinal here at the PMAC.
Well, the Cardinals are taking what LSU gives them. No one checks Nuno, so she gets the offensive rebound. And you're seeing again why she's so difficult. Her pace, she doesn't rush. She's very under control, draws the foul.
Smith picks up the personal. She'll head to the bench. And Jersey Wolfenbarger will come on. (10-3) Cardinal.
And the key when the Cardinals score is that they can get their defense set. I think a key is to make LSU have to score in the half-court offense because they've been so good on the glass and in transition this season.
Anissa Morrow, who has 8 double-doubles in the 9 games for LSU so far this season, couldn't get the putback, and it's Stanford basketball. Dave Wilson will shadow heel of the court.
And that's one thing Kim Mulkey talked about today is she's got guard depth. Because I said, you're pressing more than you did last year. She said, it allows me opportunities to play all my guards.
Aguera ripped away by Morrow, and here comes LSU on the run. They have missed their last 5 field goal attempts. Dave Wilson ends that. Ariel waves off Buzgana. Ariel. Buzgana, who was a perfect 10 for 10 from the field in the last game for Stanford. Dimitri answers for 3. Excellent shooter, 12 made threes and 26 attempts so far this season. Wolfenbarger on the turnaround, no. One and done again for LSU. Field.
One thing Kim Mulkey worked on defensively yesterday was her team playing 30 seconds of defense because she knew Stanford would be very diligent and patient on the offensive end.
Dave Wilson, no. Wolfenbarger trying to rip it away from Dimitri, but Dimitri wins the battle. Here come the Cardinals. We've gone a little while here without a stoppage. Chloe Clardy getting ready to check in for the Cardinal.
And Eric, Kate Pay immediately stood up when they got that defense rebound and said, slow down. She doesn't want to get in a track meet.
They will get into a 3-point shooting contest if it does come to that. And a timeout is called by LSU after the 3-pointer knocked down by Harriel.
And it is equal opportunity feasting from deep. This time Harriel left open, making LSU pay.
Stanford at 44% on the season so far from outside the 3-point line, and they're knocking them down early here in Baton Rouge.
And it starts with the dribble penetration and ball movement. You see LSU just closing out short, closing out late, and Stanford knows what to do with it if they're left open from deep.
It's not as though Kate Pay is having her team shoot more threes than under Tara Vanderveer. They're just making more threes. They are a better 3-point shooting team. Still the same amount of volume compared to last year, but they've been knocking them down. Williams out of the timeout. That's off the mark for 3.
Where, to your point, Kate Pay told us it was a point of emphasis for all our players to get better from deep. They worked on it all summer long. It's paying dividends so far this season. And I go back to the ball is not sticking, so it's giving better looks for this Cardinal ball club here early part of the season.
Clardy. She's really improved from outside the 3-point line. She drives on Morrow, too strong. The follow, Aguera has been active on the glass, but can't get the putback. Dave Wilson into the front court. It's an interesting story at point guard for both of these teams because we'll see a handful of point guards for both teams. The primary point for Stanford, Lopolo, is out. But Clardy will run the point, and look at the run out here, getting back behind the defense, and Johnson gets called for the foul.
Kate Pay said, if we get the opportunity to get out front, we will take it. And you see LSU gets caught jogging in transition, and you cannot do this because Stanford is smart. They will pick you apart if they get the opportunities. That time, Bozgana gets behind the defense.
Did you say Stanford is smart? That should be, is that a t-shirt, bumper sticker? Is that something? I think I've heard that before. Here is Bozgana, the senior from Athens, at the line. Sunday night on ESPN2, the defending national champs, third-ranked South Carolina. They'll be in Fort Worth to take on TCU, top 10 team. They won again yesterday. Haley Van Lith, former LSU Tiger, leading the way for TCU. See that coming up Sunday night, 7 Eastern, ESPN2, and also on ESPN+.
Stanford just trying to clog up the paint. This is why Dave Wilson's getting some of these looks.
She knocks down the second three of the game for LSU. This is not a team that lives by the three, making on average 5 a game so far this season. They were 5 of 11 Sunday when they put 131 points on the board. Stanford stays hot. They're already at 20 with 3:45 to go in the first quarter.
We asked Kate Pay, what's the key for your team tonight? She said, we got to play with confidence. This team's looking pretty confident so far.
I'll say. Clardy. She'll reset, defended by excellent defender and Flau'jae Johnson. Samaya Smith comes over for the help to knock it away. And here comes Dave Wilson. Head up into traffic and now back out.
Despite the turnover, great transition defense by the Cardinals to get back.
Kaylin on the floor for LSU, number 16. Very familiar with facing Stanford, the Arizona transfer. That's a 2. Ariel. Dimitri, defended by Mora. Bozgana. Johnson tries to sell the foul. Another 3 for Stanford. It's Aguera, her 6th made 3 of the season. And it's all Cardinal right now, up by 13.
Well, it starts with Bozgana's dribble penetration. 2 feet in the paint, defense shifts in. That's why Nunu Aguera was open in the corner.
Cardinal 4 for 6 outside the 3-point line. Johnson will try the 3 and make it. Flau'jae. 43% so far in the season. She knocks it down. She's got an early 5. Aguera. She is a handful and a half right now for LSU to try to stop. Well, double figures with 10.
And Smith didn't try to contest because she already had that 1 early foul.
And Aguera rips down the rebound. That's her 6th. 10 and 6 so far for Nunu.
Well, I said to you, in some ways, I hope tonight's a coming out party for Nunu Aguera. And so far, she is not disappointed.
Travel on Stanford, turnover for the Cardinals.
A lot of talk about the bigs for LSU, but Nunu Aguera saying, hey, don't forget about me. Just a little rip and drive by the sophomore post player.
She goes to the bench. She's into double figures for the 9th time. This is the 9th game for Stanford. She had double figures 10 times total as a freshman last year. It's the kind of season she's had. Mary Ashley Stevenson on the floor right now for Stanford. She's got it. Transfer from Purdue. Sophomore brings some much needed size onto the floor for the Cardinal, as does Courtney Ogden. Dimitri tried to make the extra pass to Stevenson, knocked away by the Tigers. 9 to shoot for the Cardinal. What's Stevenson bring to the Stanford team?
Physicality, rebounding. She gives a little bit more post depth for this team as well. Coaching staff very high on Stevenson. The key for her is just to get more comfortable in this Princeton style offense.
Well, they had her for 2, but they were late on the pass. Instead, it turns into a 3 for Stanford. That's the kind of corner it's been for the Cardinal. Dimitri knocks down another one. She's got 8, 2 3-pointers. Williams, that sweet, silky touch for 2.
You know, and that's the difference in these two teams. You've got a lot of one-on-one play or coming off the screen on the ball to create for LSU, and then you just see the passing and cutting and the teamwork for the Cardinal.
Ogden works with Stevenson. Dave Wilson got a hand in there. LSU forces the turnover, and a foul's going to be called on Clardy running into Flaugier.
A lot of gasps by the LSU faithful as Flaugier Johnson hit the floor. I mean, and this is just how disruptive Dave Wilson can be. And I mean, just accidental contact there, but it is a foul. LSU's got, I'm assuming here will take the last shot of this quarter.
Just the first foul on the Cardinal here in the quarter. Shot clock is off. LSU will hold for one. Dave Wilson's gone the distance at the point here in the first quarter. Last year, Poa on the floor. She'll play some point as well. Wilson step back three, no. Time here for the Cardinal, but they're running out of it. Aguera. I mean, if I'm Nunu, I try it from three-quarters court because everything else has dropped. Kim Mulkey knows it too. 28 for Stanford in the first, up 13. In that first quarter, what needs to change for LSU to get back in this game right now, Christy?
Well, first of all, I just want to see more aggressiveness from LSU. This is a ball club that's averaging 28 points a game off of turnovers. They had 2 in that first quarter. They also get to the free throw line. They had none. The other key for them is get on the glass. Right now, the Cardinal +9 on the glass in this game.
14 boards for Stanford, 5 for LSU in that first quarter. Here's Poa off the turnover, the 5th for Stanford. Morrow has to get going, but she can't find the range. Morrow 0 for 3 from the field. Christie averaging 18 points a game, second on the team.
Well, and I want to credit the defensive game plan by Stanford so far. They're playing off, and you can just see the confidence grow for Stanford on both ends of the floor. But because they're playing off, you're seeing the guards settle for shots. Right now, the posts aren't involved in this game for LSU, which should be the strength of this ball club.
Paint points are 10-0 in favor of Stanford after that drive to the basket by Mosgana.
I mean, even the entry passes to the post are being clogged up because the guards are playing off.
Another outside shot. This one goes down for Williams. She's leading the way for LSU with 7.
I'm honestly surprised that LSU's not denying some of the passing lanes, just to slow down the pace of the offense for the Cardinal.
Tough shot and fade away from Dimitri on the baseline. Here's Flaugier. Williams wide open 3. PMAC crowd waiting to get into this game. They're getting closer to make it a little bit more noise. Now that it's a 10-point game. Poa a little too aggressive on Tess Heel.
Well, I know I've talked about the post play of LSU, but let's not forget about the guard play. Michaela Williams trailing. Defense so worried about transition that they sink into the paint. Williams wide open from 3.
Heel running the point for Stanford. Another turnover. There's Flaugier in traffic. Flaugier on the run. No. Gilbert getting on the glass. Good fight by Gilbert. We'll keep it with LSU. Gilbert, junior from Tampa, averaging 9.5 points a game. She averaged 15 points a game for Arizona in 23 games played season ago. Had the game winner for LSU, tight one in the Bahamas against Washington. Looked like LSU was going to suffer a loss, but battled back late, and Gilbert had the game winner.
And a key for Gilbert, when she transferred in, was she needed to get better defensively. Coaching staff's been really pleased with how much she's improved in that area already this season.
They look for Gilbert on the inside. She has strength. She can use that right hand and left hand equally, and she scores with the left. Here comes the crowd. 7-0 run for the Tigers. Another turnover for Stanford. They've had trouble taking care of the basketball here in the second quarter. Flaugier can't make them pay. And Aguera rips it away. And a jump ball is going to be called. Possession arrow will keep it with LSU.
Ball pressure is better for LSU now, as well as the weak side. But Stanford consistently is getting back in transition defense. Flaugier Johnson can't finish. Stanford stopped easy too.
Tiffany Bird, Brenda Pantoja, Brian Garland, our officiating crew, getting things sorted out without going to the monitor, which we appreciate. Lost art sometimes.
Well, I think it was about the shot clock.
Langer. All LSU right now here in the second quarter. They've outscored Stanford 9-2. Crowd gets a little louder. Little accidental offense from Bozgana.
Well, the perimeter passes by the Cardinals have to get sharper, because what's happening right now is LSU's rotating into the paint, and a couple of times they've been there to take that charge if they go too far in off that pass.
Williams, 3 more. 13 for Michaela Williams. Louder and louder here at the PMAC. That will quiet the crowd. Ogden and Aguirre, good work.
Well, the pass fakes right now are affecting LSU in the closeouts. They're going for them, and that's giving Stanford the ability to get an advantage on them off the bounce, and they're kicking.
Langer, no. Tipped by Williams, Stanford basketball. Kim Mulkey's team beat NC Central on Sunday, 131-44. I'll do the math. 87 was the margin of victory. Second quarter scoring in that game, 37-0 for LSU. This won't be a 37-0 quarter, but it has been better here in this quarter for the Tigers.
Well, and Kim Mulkey was honest with us today. She doesn't know why this team consistently is starting slow game after game. She says, you know, some people say mix up the starting lineup. She said, but I really think it's our team starting slow right now. The good news for her is the second quarters have been really good.
Ariel, wide open 3. Nope, Williams has it.
And you see, shot goes up for Stanford. 3 players getting back, trying to slow down the transition game of LSU.
Morrow, been quiet so far. Poa has been struggling with her shot. Can't get that one to drop. 0 for 5 from outside the arc so far this season. Off the miss, as Christy mentioned, Stanford willing to run, unable to score, and then Morrow touched it last. It will be Stanford ball.
Even this rebound from Morrow is tough. You think it's clean. It's in there a little bit, but I think Morrow just takes her eye off of it. Unfortunately for LSU, ball back to Stanford.
Dimitri. Quick bang that one in. And here is Wolfenbarger for Johnson. Johnson on the crossover to get a little space. Rebound for Dimitri. It will be Stanford ball.
Even this rebound from Morrow is tough. You think it's clean, and Gilbert's in there a little bit, but I think Morrow just takes her eye off of it. Unfortunately for LSU, ball back to Stanford.
Dimitri. Quick bang that one in. And here is Wolfenbarger for Johnson. Johnson on the crossover to get a little space. Rebound for Dimitri. Bozgana on the drive, too strong. Stevenson fighting for the rebound and gets fouled. Good battle by Mary Ashley Stevenson. That will get us to a timeout. Stanford on top here at the PMAC. Third meeting up Between LSU and Stanford. The last meeting was 2006, Elite Eight. LSU won. Simone Augustus had 26 points. She took that late charge to seal the victory, and LSU was off to the Final Four again. It was in the middle of that run of 5 straight trips to the Final Four, and in the middle of things as an assistant coach now for LSU is one of the greatest of all time in college basketball, Simone Augustus.
At every level. I walked in yesterday for practice, and she was out here with the scout team teaching them the Stanford offense. And I was struck by just how soft-spoken, but just how concise she was in the teaching. And I asked staff members and players her impact so far, and they're like, she doesn't say a lot, but when she speaks, we learn so much.
That was just a partial resume you saw there. If we went her full resume,
it would be font 2, first of all, to make it fit on the screen.
Oh, you're talking about the size?
Yes, even the big screen would be a font 2.
You need my glasses to see font 2, font 4, and font 6. But the number retired, a statue outside the PMAC, and now an assistant coach on Kim Mulkey's staff.
And I'll just throw in there one of the best Hall of Fame acceptance speeches I have ever heard.
I meant to ask her before the game today, when I get inducted into a Hall of Fame to be named later, I want her to write my speech and present it for me. If you have not seen her presentation in Springfield when she was inducted into the Hall of Fame this year, do yourself a favor and call it up, because it was unique and unforgettable.
Stanford going to a little zone now.
Battle for it on the floor. Morrow kept it alive. Dave Wilson. Gilbert tries to attack the zone, and she'll head to the free throw line.
All we needed was a little up and under there, and we had the Washington game winner. Very similar to the way she attacked to win that game in the Bahamas for LSU.
So it's been better here in this quarter for Mulkey's team. They were down by 13 at the end of one. They've outscored Stanford 12-6 here in the second, and this is the first trip to the free throw line for LSU here tonight. College Football Conference Championships this week on ABC. Friday nights, tomorrow night, the American Championship on brave old Army team. They're taking on Tulane. Then Big 12, Iowa State, Arizona State, SEC, Georgia, and Texas. And then the ACC caps off the big day on Saturday, Clemson and LSU. All coming up on ABC. 5-point game. Aguera. Turnovers have been a problem here for Stanford this quarter. Gilbert scores off the turnover.
It is the ball pressure for LSU. That is the difference in this corner. You're seeing them up on players. It's disrupting the timing of cuts. It's disrupting the passing.
Foul called on Johnson. That's going to be her second personal foul.
For LSU, this is when they're at their best. Steal and getting it out quickly in transition. This time it's Gilbert measuring it up. Pull-up jumper, just beautiful.
So Stanford had 4 turnovers in the first quarter, 5 so far here in the second quarter. Still more than 3 minutes to go in the quarter.
Well, I did believe this game would come down to possessions. For Stanford, could they minimize the turnovers and stay close on the glass?
Clardy will go to the free throw line as Dave Wilson gets called for the foul. So Johnson goes to the bench with 2 personals. Gilbert picks up the personal. Kim Mulkey's got some backcourt depth. There's no question about that. It's one of the strengths of this team as she's shuffled in different players. And we talked about that. Gilbert, Jada Richard, freshman, going to get some time at that position as well.
I do want to mention last year, Poa. I felt like the defense picked up when Kim Mulkey put her in the game. Known for her defensive presence, getting a lot of charges, but the team feeds off of her presence on the floor as well.
If I had to guess, Kim was looking up at the scoreboard. She saw the fouls are 5-1 right now. LSU with 5, Stanford 1.
I'm no Hall of Fame coach, but I don't think that's going to make her
well,
happy.
I've been watching the Hall of Fame coach for a few years, and I think I can read the Kim body language once in a while. Here's Clardy off the miss.
And that's a shot Stanford's willing to give LSU. They do not want them to get the easy paint points.
Aguera. Morrow there defensively. 3-pointer is good. Dimitri knew it when it left her hand.
I mean,
She's got 11.
Brooke Dimitri's another player for Stanford, has experience, but now she's that go-to player. Went to Cape Pay over the summer. I know I'm no longer a role player. What do you need from me? I'd say hitting the three is a big part of it right now.
Stanford was 0 for 4 from outside the three-point line this quarter. Before that, Dimitri 3. Off the miss by LSU, Stanford has settled things down here a bit. And they'll run a little offense inside of 2 minutes to go in the quarter. Dimitri, another foul called on LSU. You can see that the LSU bench wanted a turnover. Traveling called, but it wasn't.
Well, it starts with O'Gara's dribble penetration. You see last year Poet kind of look at it, and that's how Dimitri's open for her third made three of this half.
Over the limit, so Dimitri to the free throw line. As a team, Stanford 71% from the line. Dimitri hasn't been there much this year, just 2 for 5. Had 2 career starts in 96 career games before this season, but she has stepped into that starting 5 and helped Stanford to a 7-1 record. Their only loss was at Indiana. Started that game off, they made their first 2 3-pointers. It was looking good in Bloomington, but then they went 0 for 11 from outside the arc the rest of the way and lost to the Hoosiers.
Well, and no disrespect to Indiana, but I feel like if Brooke Dimitri doesn't get in foul trouble in that game, I think the final score is very different for the Cardinals. She had to go to the bench, and they were never the same.
First points for Morrow. Clardy. Stevenson looking to post up Day Wilson in the high post. Big size advantage here for Stevenson, but can't do anything with it.
Kim Mulkey going small with the guards right now.
Richard is out there. That 3 won't go. Williams with the rebound. Gilbert, Day Wilson, and Richard, the freshman. That's number 30. Williams, no.
Williams is the 4 right now. Morrow is the 5 for LSU.
Maybe that's what Vanessa Morrow needed to get going. Gets on the offensive glass, uses that strong body to get a little space, and gets the putback. Now a 4-point game. Stevenson rolls to the basket, won't drop.
So the smaller lineup for LSU, they're switching all those screens now, taking away a little bit more from the Stanford Cardinal in the half court.
They move Dave Wilson off the ball. Shot clock is off as Gilbert has it up top. Gilbert does it herself. That will do it for the first half, and Kim Mulkey stomps onto the floor to meet her team. I don't know if stomp does it justice.
Celebrates.
Kim was fired up. 6-0 run to end the quarter for LSU. They were down by 15, but they've brought it down to a 2-point game. Coming up, Zubin and Drea will take a look back at that OT thriller in South Bend and more on the halftime report. 2-point game. O'Gara was 5 of 7 from the floor. Dimitri 4 for 9 from the floor. Michaela Williams leading the way for LSU, 13 points on 5 of 8 shooting. She made 3 of their 5 3-pointers. 3-pointers were raining down and going in the first quarter for Stanford. Second quarter, not so much. And the turnovers piling up for the Cardinal in that quarter. They had 5 turnovers in the quarter. So what do you see on the court right now, Christy?
Well, Kim Mulkey's going with a hot hand. Gilbert starting this half, going a little bit smaller.
So Gilbert starts, and Stanford starts how they started the first quarter by knocking down a 3-pointer. Harriel for the triple.
And I'm eager to see the defense for the Cardinal this second half. They're not in front of their bench, so some of the rotations, will they still be there?
Johnson now with 9. Johnson picked up a second foul in the quarter. Dimitri inside for 2. Brooke Dimitri averaging 11 points a game through 8 games this season. She has 15 tonight. Her career and season high is 17. That's the kind of game she's having here in Baton Rouge.
Her footwork is exceptional. Doesn't matter the move. It is really a pleasure to watch her. And Eric, in that first half, Stanford was a +8 on the glass. It's just not something you see against this LSU ball club very often.
LSU second in Division I in rebounding margin, first in Division I in overall rebounding. Heel can't get it to drop, and it was last touched by Dimitri.
We have known that for LSU to get going, Flau'jae Johnson's going to be a big part of the offense. Just a beautiful pull-up jumper, and she knows how important it is based on that celebration. And then for Stanford, the beautiful footwork. Stumbles a little bit with the ball, but the footwork on the reverse pivot, the reverse layup, just beautiful by Dimitri.
Foul was called on Dimitri, her first personal. Johnson back iron, nope. Ariel with the rebound.
Well, they miss Aguera in transition there.
Aguera being defended by Johnson. Remember, playing with the 2 fouls. Aguera with the spin off the window for 2. "14 points, 10 rebounds for the sophomore, her second double-double of the season. Again, they're looking for that Aguera-Johnson matchup.
Well, now it's Morrow on Aguera.
On the switch, and so Ariel drives on Johnson. Right now, it seems to be whoever Flau'jae Johnson has to try to defend with those 2 fouls. They're going after her. They're being aggressive. And Stanford coming out of the locker room with that aggression, stretching it back to a 9-point lead. Timeout, LSU. Great response by Stanford. LSU closed the second quarter with a 6-0 run. They had all the momentum, but out of the locker room, right now, it's Stanford.
And it is everyone getting involved. Aguera, beautiful reverse spin move and the touch off the glass. And then the big bucket to extend the lead by Clardy.
It is V Week at ESPN when we partner with the V Foundation to highlight the urgent need for cancer research. This is game-changing research that helps save lives. You can join the fight against cancer by visiting v.org/donate. 100% of your donation goes directly to cancer research. Eric Freed with Cancer Survivor. Christy Thomas-Cuddy, that's my favorite thing that I say every single year.
Well, I am blessed that I can have that title because here's what I'll say about cancer. Early detection is the key. I am blessed to be here because I had a primary care doctor who said, I refuse to treat you unless you get a physical. I had not had a physical since college. I went, he thought my thyroid was enlarged. He asked me to get some tests done, and that's how we found the cancer. I felt fine, had no idea. So I am blessed to be sitting here today because we got it early. We got it because of all the cancer research that has occurred. We got it because of the money that has been given to aid in the fight against cancer. So, Jimmy V, we implore you to give to this fund because it saved my life, it'll save other lives, and the bottom line, Eric, is that we're all going to be touched by this disease.
Oh, 100%. And your biggest message, early detection. That was so important for you, and we hear that from so many people. And you were perfectly healthy, so you thought, and now you're perfectly healthy now.
I am very
The only
lucky.
drawback is you sit next to me, which is,
It's another
strains
blessing.
you a little bit. Oh, that's nice of you to say, but it is awesome, as always, to have you and to share that message. Foul was on Tess Heel, off the miss. Stanford has it. Well, you talked at the top about LSU, and you brought that up to Kim Mulkey today. She knew the question was coming. Slow starts in the game, but slow start in the first quarter and a slow start here to start the second half as Morrow gets called for the foul.
Well, and to her credit, she did switch up the starting lineup this half, and yet, again, outscored 7-0 to start it. And so, I'm sorry, 9-2 to start the quarter. So she goes back now, going bigger with Samaya Smith. And
Kim didn't have much of a protest on the call until she saw it played on the video board here inside the PMAC, and that changed her tune quickly.
Well, I think 10,000 of her best friends agree with her.
So Morrow picks up her second personal. There's Clardy. And a foul is going to be called on Williams. This is the previous foul called on Morrow.
I agree with that call. I mean, Morrow doesn't give her the space and time to get there. It's that freedom of movement call there, and she disrupted that.
Aerial corner three. Deflected off the backboard. Here's Dave Wilson.
Stanford has done so well in transition defense of getting back and clogging up the paint.
Morrow doing what Anissa Morrow does time and time again. I think a technical foul has been called on Anissa Morrow. Kim Mulkey may get one too. So far, it's just on Morrow. There was some talk after the fight on the offensive boards. What did she say? Is what Kim wants to know. Kim's not happy with the explanation from the referee, Tiffany Bird. Brenda Pantoja is the one who teed up Morrow, and that's who Kim wants to have a conversation with. But I think Brenda just wants things to simmer down a little bit right now. So Morrow was fighting on the glass, and at the end of it, she's going to make herself heard.
There was some extra talking there, and that must be what got the attention of the official.
Does it matter what is said? Is it just the fact that there was obviously something said by Morrow in a kind of a forceful way? I guess that's what the T is.
Well, you're better at reading lips than I am. But it is about the taunting factor.
Aguera, no. Morrow with the rebound.
Now, does this get this LSU team going now? Does that technical fire them up? Because Kim Mulkey's definitely fired up on the sideline.
Here's something to remember too. Technical foul also counts as a personal foul. That's 3 on Anissa Morrow. She just got tangled up with Clardy, so she's got to tread carefully. Flau'jae Johnson will go to the free throw line. I think Kim's going to get a chance here to have her conversation.
You see Flau'jae Johnson just slicing and dicing through the defense. They called a trip, which is why she's going to the free throw line.
Kim getting the explanation. Still wants to know what she said. I think it's a question of it doesn't matter what. It doesn't have to be one of the magic words coming out of your mouth. It's just how it's directed, and it's just kind of inciting things a little bit, is what I would guess is the argument from the referee.
Well, partner, you read lips, I read body language. Kim's not happy with that explanation.
I don't know how you get that impression.
You're married. You know what your wife looks like when she's not happy.
I try to keep those looks to a minimum. Off the miss, second chance here for LSU.
And you see 5 black players all around the paint area. Smart move by Smith just to tip the ball out.
Right now, LSU trying to find a way to get closer to the basket, but Stanford, as you point out, is just packing in the lane right now and forcing LSU to beat them from outside. And losing the dribble is Johnson, and a tie-up possession arrow will keep it with LSU. 3.4 on the shot clock.
And I like the team defense of Stanford. They know one-on-one LSU will beat them off the bounce, but by clogging up those penetration lanes, they're forcing a stagnant LSU offense.
Smith, Johnson, deep 3 to beat the shot clock. "12 points for Flau'jae. Beautiful offense run by Stanford. Bozgana on the cut. First points of the second half for the senior from Athens. Into double figures with 11. Williams has the ability to beat you from the outside. Knocks it down for 2.
Kim Mulkey always says about Williams, she can get her shot anytime she wants, any way she wants.
First points of the second half for the sophomore. Freshman of the year in the SEC last year. Ariel thought about the 3. Shot clock at 7. Aguera comes out for the screen. Shot clock at 3. Dimitri off the mark. Williams got the space she needed, turns to the bench, fired up, 4-point game. Timeout called by Stanford. Michaela Williams leading the way for the Tigers with 17.
Welcome back to the PMAC, where Michaela Williams is making her offensive game felt. 3-level scoring, knocking it down from 3. Give her any space, and she can hit the pull-up jumper. Pack it in the paint. She will trail for the 3. She is feeling it right now, and I gotta believe that's why Kate Pay called that last time out.
Williams has been hot and cold this year. She was 0 for 9 from the field, did not score against Washington. Then the next game, 7 of 13, 24 points against NC State, a Final Four team a season ago that beat Ole Miss earlier tonight in the SEC ACC Challenge. Ogden out of the timeout, feeds it into Stevenson. Dimitri called for in the corner, couldn't get it. Stevenson on the putback. Traveling violation, no basket.
But there are shot blockers, and then there are also players who can affect shots. That walk is what causes Samaya Smith's link.
You see the turnover story, a big part of this story here. Just 2 turnovers for LSU in this game, helping them be within 4, 10 for Stanford, but that's their first of the second half.
I mean, the key for Stanford is, yes, the 10 turnovers, but LSU only 8 points off of those turnovers, and that's an area this season where LSU has feasted. So I go back to the transition defense of Stanford and how good it has been here tonight.
Knocked away by Samaya Smith.
Eric, LSU is averaging 28 points a game off of opponents' miscues. That's why I say I have just been impressed with Stanford's transition defense so far in this game.
Their defense overall, LSU shooting 40% on the season heading into today, where they were just shy of 50%. Stevenson caught in deep, but somehow, some way, Mary Ashley Stevenson found a way to get her first points. Day Wilson was not in rhythm, rattled in and out, and again, one and done for LSU.
And I think it's a key for the perimeters of LSU not to settle for that shot, because that's exactly what Stanford wants to do. They've got the inside positioning because they're sagging off, so also eliminating LSU's ability to get on the glass.
Morrow on the bench right now as we approach 2 minutes to go in the third quarter. Shot clock down to 5. Stevenson checks the clock. Samaya Smith knocked it away. And here is Gilbert. Gilbert on the pull-up.
Stanford's going to have numbers.
Day Wilson with the steal. Took it away from Harriel. Up for Smith. Smith to Gilbert. After taking good care of the ball to start the second half, Stanford has turned it over 3 times in their last 4 possessions. Back to a 4-point game. Johnson kicked it out of bounds. It'll be Stanford ball, 10 to shoot.
The perimeters on the floor for Stanford right now need to be stronger with the basketball. That includes the ball handling as well as the passing. Stanford very fortunate here. Flau'jae Johnson shoots the gap. And you see Ogden hook up Flau'jae there, gets away with it. The Cardinal basketball.
Clardy's got to go. Shot clock's down to 4. Aguirre into the game, lost the handle. Another turnover for Stanford. Cardinal having trouble taking care of the ball. And here's Dave Wilson. Johnson on the pull-up. Aguirre and 1. Kate Pay's been joking around with the talented sophomore that she's a teddy bear and she wants the grizzly bear to come out. And I think the grizzly was growling on the floor.
Well, I asked her, how will we know if the grizzly bear's here tonight? She said, I'll give the flex. Well, she's on the floor giving the flex that time.
So Maya Smith picked up the personal. Aguirre caps the 3-point play. $17 for Aguirre, 17 for Dimitri, 17 for Michaela Williams. Leading scorers in this game. LSU holding for 1. About 5 seconds between the shot clock and the game clock with Gilbert. Johnson sets for 3. No. Rebound for Clardy. Chance here for Dimitri. Bozgana, step back, good if it goes. And that's the end of the 3rd quarter. So the Aguirre 3-point play puts Stanford up by 5 on the road, heading to the 4th. The WNBA expansion draft for the newest franchise, Golden State, is tomorrow at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN. I think Nneka Ogwumike is staying put in Seattle. She is here in the building. This was just before the game. Kate Pay, the head coach, coming out to see Nneka, one of the all-time Stanford greats, with a Stanford sweatshirt on, just to make sure we left clear. No doubt, right. So the expansion draft is tomorrow, 6:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Well, I think Nneka being here is just another example of the sisterhood of Stanford, and that's really important to Kate Pay and her staff. Following Tara Vanderveer's retirement, she said that's the one thing that our team is locked in on, is maintaining this sisterhood.
More off there to start the 4th quarter for LSU. Here's Johnson. Johnson looking to attack the basket. That won't drop. Gotta imagine that's part of the message here for Kim Mulkey. Get to the paint, attack the basket. So many shots from the perimeter against this Stanford team trying to pack things in. It's been a challenge, but here's Aguirre on the other end.
Aguirre has been a challenge for LSU this entire evening.
Back to a 7-point lead for the Cardinal. Williams hopped into the lane, and I think a foul's going to be called on Stanford.
I think they got Clardy there. Williams just trying to split the 2 defenders. And no, they got Dimitri there for that foul.
Another foul called on the Cardinal. So Dimitri picked up her 2nd personal foul, and Aguirre picks up her 3rd. Or is it her 2nd? Let's get confirmation on that. Two fouls on Aguirre. Flau'jae. $16 for Johnson, averaging better than 22 a game, 9th in the country. Flau'jae It's a little too aggressive. That will be her third.
If I'm LSU right now, I get up and I pressure. I pressure the passing lanes. I pressure the ball handlers. Anytime it goes into the pinch, that elbow area on the drop pass to the bigs, I double down on it.
Clardy, strong take to the basket for her first two. Here's Day Wilson. Williams skips it to an open Johnson in the corner for three. Timeout is called as LSU brings it within 4. We'll step aside for 30 seconds. Be back to LSU in a moment. SEC Network will be in Atlanta Saturday, 4 hours of pregame to get you ready for Texas and Georgia starting at noon Eastern time with Marty and McGee from 1 to 4. It's SEC Nation 4 to 7. The SEC Championship Skycast, 7:30 Eastern SEC football final. Turned out to be a full timeout. LSU left with 1 timeout. Why would Kim Mulkey take one there? Because if you get in a late game situation, you'd love to have those timeouts to advance into the front court, wouldn't you?
Well, just watching her interaction with her staff coming out of that huddle, I think she thought that she was going to be left with 2 after that timeout. So that could be really critical down the stretch for LSU.
Aguera out of the timeout by LSU. Nunu Aguera releasing the Grizzly a little bit more. 22 points for the sophomore.
Well, credit Stanford. Every time out, they have come out and they have responded and executed.
Gilbert with the answer and one.
The perimeter players for LSU are so good off the bounce. Gilbert's lower body strength allows her to be so explosive to just slice and dice through a defense. Past 1, 2 defenders who are much taller. Doesn't matter. She gets to the rim and gets the foul.
We mentioned it before, that game winner against Washington in the Bahamas. Not afraid to show that strength, getting to the basket and finishing. It's a 3-point play for Gilbert, 13 points. Coming off a 19-point performance last time out, her best for LSU. Clardy too strong. Aguera fouled by Williams.
Well, Clarity gets downhill, and that forces a rotation, and Nunu Aguera gets on the inside, and LSU fans aren't happy, LSU coaching staff's not happy, LSU players aren't happy, because they think Michaela Williams got all ball here, and I agree with the folks from Louisiana on this one.
Third personal foul on Williams. Aguera to the free throw line. Aguera, 76% on the season, 1 for 2 this trip. She's over the 20-point mark for the 3rd time this season. Averaged 5 points a game last year as a freshman. Day Wilson for Gilbert. Day Wilson open for 3. Aguera boxed out Morrow. That's hard to do, to keep Anissa Morrow off the glass. Ariel, transition 3, no good. And Williams tripped over Aguera, who gets called for the foul. That's 3 on Aguera, who will go to the bench for a few minutes here as Mary Ashley Stevenson comes on.
It's an unfortunate foul for Aguera, but it's a foul. And as I used to say as a coach, that's why you get 5. Again, you see the Stanford players back off and dare.
Let them take the jumpers.
Yep. And it's twofold. Take away the strength of pounding the ball inside, but it also puts Stanford in better rebounding position. Great rotation by Morrow.
Three-pointer is off the mark. Williams has the rebound. Here comes Gilbert. You know she'll look to attack the basket. Stanford was ready for it. They get the turnover.
I want either Dimitri or Bogdana to get a touch here.
Clardy's fouled by Gilbert.
Clardy's so good off the bounce here. Just comes off the on-ball screen tight, gets the call to get to the free throw line. She's a great story. Kate Pay said she changed her mechanics this offseason with her father to become a more efficient scorer for her team. That's a lot of work to put in to change her shot.
2 for 20 outside the three-point arc last season. Has already made 8 threes this season. Showing a lot of confidence with that offensive game, always known as good defender. Sophomore from Conway, Arkansas. Second free throw coming. Second personal foul on Gilbert. 4 for Clardy. Again, Stanford playing without their leader and true point guard, Talala, who's back home dealing with an injury before the shot. A foul is called on Stanford. So Kate Pay without a trusted ball handler, the floor general, someone who's excellent defensively here today, but her team has done a great job. It was a great start to the game. They led 28-15 after the first quarter, shot 63% from the field in the first. LSU owned the second quarter, but a good start to that third quarter for Stanford set the tone, and the Cardinal have not given up the lead. Led by 15 at one point in that second quarter. Right now it's a 5-point game approaching 6 minutes to go.
I go back to Stanford's loss at Indiana. I'm not saying it's as loud in Assembly Hall as it is here, but a great experience for this young Stanford team, and you see how they've applied some of those lessons, because in that game, Polo didn't play much either, so she had to go with other guards to lead her team, and that's paying dividends here this afternoon, or evening.
Clardy for Bogdana. Looking for Aguero, but Morrow extending the defense, and a timeout is called by Kate Pay from the Stanford bench. Back to LSU in a moment. Stanford generally very good at taking care of the basketball, but they're facing a team in LSU that turns you over. They forced 33 turnovers in their most recent game. On average, opponents turning it over 20 times a game against the Tigers. 5 on the shot clock out of the Stanford timeout. Dimitri got Williams in the air. Good recovery by Williams to make it tough on Dimitri. And here's Morrow with the rebound. Flau'jae Johnson over the 20-point mark again for a 7th time this season and a 13th time in their last 18 games. Williams with the hoop. 3-point game. On the drive, good strong take by Bogdana for 2. Sitting way back off of Day Wilson, tempting her to take the shot. Gilbert from the outside will knock it down.
The inside-outside look for LSU is there because every time it goes low, everybody collapses.
Clardy off the mark on the pull-up. Aguero is down and she's hurt back behind the play. Morrow is up. Advantage here for LSU. Williams can't hit the 3. Opportunity missed for the Tigers. Maybe not the best shot by Michaela Williams. Aguero, Dimitri on the cut. What a sequence there. LSU had the advantage on one end. Williams couldn't make the 3. Stanford scores on the other end to go back on top by 5.
And Dimitri's laboring right now.
Williams, tough turnaround, but she will get a trip to the free throw line. The foul on Clardy.
Well, just the entry pass by Dimitri. Her player turns her head, so Dimitri cuts hard to the basket. Beautiful pass by Aguirre.
So Brooke right now trying to stretch things out. You can see limping as she jogs to the bench. So she'll come out of the game right now for the Cardinal. Dimitri has a new career high, 19 points for the senior. The foul on Clardy, her third. Caitlin Knox, the athletic trainer for Stanford, working with Dimitri on the sideline right now.
Well, Dimitri's definitely cramping up. They've got the massage gun over there. The trainer's trying to stretch it out as well.
Courtney Ogden onto the floor for Stanford. Inside of 4 minutes to play in the fourth. Three-point game.
Nice help by Morrow.
Harriel for three. Yes! Janiyah Harriel knocks down a three-pointer. That's her third of the game. It feels like anytime LSU has built some momentum, the crowd has gotten going. Stanford has had an answer to quiet this crowd of 10,317.
Well, you feel like Stanford's growing up before our eyes there. Janiyah Harriel realizes her defender is not on her, and so she just steps back a little bit, raises up, and knocks it down. Huge three for Stanford.
Johnson, the entry to Morrow. Morrow draws a crowd. Day Wilson.
Not in rhythm again.
Bozgana with the rebound. Stanford can bring it inside of 3 minutes. They continue to work on Dimitri near the Stanford bench. Inside all alone. Aguirre with the layup, matching her career high with 25. Morrow hits from the outside. It has been a quiet game, and it looks like, will LSU take their final timeout? So LSU has called their final timeout with 2:52 to go here in the fourth.
Well, some of it's got to be because the last couple of possessions for Stanford, they just sliced and diced the LSU defense. That time, just a beautiful roll to the basket by Aguirre. Teammate finds her for the easy two.
So full timeout. Teams can sit and huddle up. Gives me a chance to tell you about men's hoop coming up Saturday night on ESPN2. 4th-ranked Kentucky taking on 7th-ranked Gonzaga at the Battle in Seattle. Both teams 7-1, just lost to unranked opponents, looking to boost their resumes with a win over a top 10 opponent. Kentucky and the Zags, Saturday, 10 Eastern on ESPN2. Well, Kim Mulkey hasn't been thrilled with some of the work her team's done on the full court press, but do you feel like something like that might be coming here for LSU? Will they change things up and pick up Stanford in the backcourt?
I would right now. You have nothing to lose. And again, there's no time, there's no reason to panic. It's only a 6-point deficit at this point with just under 3 minutes to go. But what I would be telling to my team right now is you've got to get solid on the defensive end. There's been some miscommunications. There have been some times where they haven't seen ball see girl, and that's allowing Stanford to cut so well without the ball and get those easy looks. But I mean, they're going to continue with just Cheyenne Day Wilson up on the ball.
Dimitri was just about ready to check into the game, so she looks ready to go, but she went just back to the bench to have a seat. A little bit of pressure in the backcourt. Day Wilson gets called for the foul. So that's 4 on LSU. Stanford in the bonus the rest of the way. Ariel needs a little help. Clardy. Aguirre against Morrow. Three-pointer on the way. Bozgana. Morrow with the rebound. That's her 13th. Dimitri will check in. Next dead ball for the Cardinal. Gilbert looking to penetrate, but nowhere to go. Johnson. Gilbert. Gilbert, tough drive. 4-2. Inside of 2 minutes to play. 4-point game. And a foul called on Dave Wilson. And that will send Clardy to the free throw line. Kim Mulkey not happy, so she's going to get the freshman Jada Richard into the game for LSU. 3 on Dave Wilson.
I don't understand why Dave Wilson was that aggressive. It's not like they had to foul there. There was plenty of time, and that goes back for her previous foul as well.
Clardy 11 of 15 from the free throw line on the season, 3 for 5 tonight. So you see Dimitri back into the game for Stanford. We'll see if the cramps come back up here. They were working on it pretty hard on that Stanford bench. Lane violation. Aguera protesting it, and Dimitri, one of the leaders on this team, telling the young player, just turn around, get back on defense.
Yeah. Dimitri flinched there, trying to get them to step in. Good call by the officials. Aguera, sorry.
Yep. Morrow. There's the freshman in a big spot for LSU. Morrow shut off inside, traveling violation. Just the 4th turnover for Kim Mulkey's team, but it comes at a costly time, and now the pressure in the backcourt for LSU.
You see Morrow take the step and then picks up that pivot foot. Good call by the official, and now we're seeing some of the full court pressure.
Not much, though.
No, I mean, it takes everybody.
Clardy. Stanford with the lead. Approaching 1 minute to play. Dimitri looking to give it up. Bozgana deep 3. In and out. Aguera kept it alive, but Morrow won it for LSU. 1 minute to go in a 5-point game. Morrow can't get it to drop. And she would be the one to get on the offensive glass.
But again, there was 4 Stanford players already in the paint there. I expect Stanford to work this clock really low here.
Foul called on Johnson. That'll be her 4th. And they are starting to head to the exits here at the PMAC. Kim Mulkey's team down by 5. They are out of timeouts. 40 seconds to go. Dimitri will check out.
Still a 2-possession ball game.
Say the door is wide open here. I know it hasn't been pretty offensively for LSU, but they got a shooter's chance and then some here with 40 seconds to go.
Well, Flau'jae Johnson's been the best 3-point shooter by percentage and makes this season.
Well, Williams counted and one, so a chance for a 3-point play. Williams was close to a travel here before the contact.
But they're looking to score quick, and that's the good thing. Williams is attacking, drawing the foul, and a little continuation as well.
4 on Clardy. Some of those who left their seats for the exits are hanging out, just hanging out, standing in the background, watching here because it's not over yet. It's a 3-point game. And a timeout's going to be called here by Stanford with 30 seconds to go.
I was about to say I'm surprised that Kate Payton called timeout and advanced the ball. This is where the timeout they had called earlier when they got caught in the trap right in front of the bench would have been really helpful to have that additional one. But you saw it, timeout. And because they had already passed the ball in, they cannot advance the ball. So it'll be side out of bounds for Stanford deep in that corner.
Stanford with 1 timeout remaining. LSU has used up their timeout, so Stanford score here. LSU's got to go the length of the court. Can't advance into the front court after a score or a miss.
And because they don't have that timeout here, LSU needs to foul. if they had the timeout, they could run the risk of trying to get the stop, then advancing the ball, but they don't have the time now. So I expect go for the steal here under full court pressure and then a quick foul.
Ogden will trigger the inbound for Stanford.
Richard Now's matching up before they were leaving a player wide open.
Remember, the Cardinal have 6 seconds to get it across half court here. It doesn't reset. Blarney not there yet. Not there yet.
Just barely.
Just barely got over. Morrow with her fourth.
Well, the timeout does not restart the clock, and the fact that she stopped right there, it was so close. I mean, she just got that ball across.
Ariel at the free throw line. 9 of 12 on the season. Makes her first attempt of the night. A reminder, no timeouts remaining for LSU, so they cannot advance it. Ariel clutch at the line.
Great substitution by Stanford to prevent LSU from just getting the ball in quick and going. They get the defense set. If I'm LSU, I'm just trying to get a quick shot off. I believe the clock started, and it shouldn't have because no one touched the ball there for LSU.
So they put 23 seconds on the clock. LSU will trail the inbound. Again, Stanford dropping way back behind half court, so LSU doesn't want to touch it. It does not start the clock until it's touched. So the freshman back on the floor, Richard. Clock's going. 2-possession game. 5-point Stanford lead. Gilbert, tough three. Drains it! Timeout called by Stanford, and they got the timeout in time to advance it to the front court. How about Caitlin Gilbert? Season high 20.
Eric, this is the play they worked on yesterday in the game. A little wraparound by Gilbert. She doesn't need 2 feet, she just needs the one to knock down that three. The timeout story here is so big in this game. Stanford just called their last time out.
The previous play is under review for a potential timing error.
So this will give the teams a chance, if they so choose, to sit down and take a moment as they go to the replay. Well, we showed you the shot. They were heading for the exits here, leaving their seats, and then all of a sudden LSU makes a hoop. And you can see a few folks, a lot were hanging around. Oh, hey, Mike, that's the jacket that Christy wore last year. But there's a bunch up there who are kind of hanging around in the vomitories a little bit, saying, well, we're not going to the cars just yet because it could be a little late magic here for the Tigers.
Well, I wanted to say that as well. When you got Flau'jae Johnson, when you have Michaela Williams on your team, you're never out of a game because of how good they are from deep.
Again, we're talking about reading lips and reading body language. I think maybe Tiffany Bird was having a little trouble with the replay monitor right here that they're trying to work out. Seems to be working now, perhaps, as they just try to make sure how much time should be on the clock here. Stanford led by 13 after 1. The lead was 2 at halftime. The lead was 5 at the end of 3. Let's take a look at what they might be looking at here as Gilbert put it through. Right now the clock says 16.1. They did get it in, so it should run off just a little here, but the timeout.
The game clock will be adjusted to 16.5.
That's when the ball went through the hoop, and Kate Payne was calling a timeout. It was very loud in here, so she was calling the timeout. Bird, the official, was the one close to pay, so they give her the timeout with 16.5 to go, which every 10th helps for LSU right now in a 2-point game and no timeouts.
And Eric, no timeouts for Stanford, so the most important thing is to get the ball inbounded cleanly. Step to every pass, get it in, because LSU has to foul now.
Unless they get a steal right here. No timeout. Off of Harriel. Turnover. LSU ball. No timeouts. So things are going to keep moving here and move pretty quickly. Dave Wilson coming into the game. The only question would be, do they go to the monitor to check timing here, which could give the two teams a timeout here, and I think that's the case, Christy.
They are going to ensure that it did indeed go off of Stanford. And so to your point, Eric, this is a pseudo timeout for LSU, which is huge.
The previous play is under review. The call on the floor is white ball.
So the call is turnover Stanford, which would be their 15th. I thought it pretty clearly hit from our vantage point. It hit Harriel. We just couldn't see where we were when it went out of bounds. That may be tough for them to see too, because the cameras are on that near sideline and the scores table could be in the way. Let's see what we can find out here though.
What's unfortunate, because they missed the cutter, Harriel earlier cutting to her.
Yeah, clearly touched by Harriel. The question is, when does it go out of bounds? See Brian Garland, the official, right in front of him. Oh, this will be a good look here. Well, did Flauget get a hand in there is going to be part of the question to be answered. But in bounds that first bounce, then out of bounds the second bounce.
So if you look above, and again, it's the official signal on it that will determine the timing.
The call on the floor is confirmed, white ball.
Well, .5 to go. Those who may have left are sprinting back into the PMAC to see if there's a little Tiger magic here in the SEC ACC Challenge. Here's Gilbert. Williams on the turnaround. It's good. 4.3 to go, no timeouts. Aguera, Dimitri, Bosgana at the buzzer. We're going to overtime.
As soon as LSU made the drop pass to Michaela Williams, you had to know she was the one who was going to take the shot. Creates the space, just elevates and knocks it down. Stanford has time. They've got 4.3 to go. Just too slow in developing, and I think Marjana had more time than she thought when she let it go.
After two made free throws by Janiah Harriel, Stanford led 80-75 with 23 seconds left. Gilbert hit a three with 17 seconds to go. Williams makes the jumper with 4 seconds left, and we are on to overtime. I think Kim Mulkey will like to have a few words with those who grabbed their coats and headed for the exits, but that could wait. Her team battles back down throughout this game. They tie it up at 80 on the Williams jumper. It was a 12-4 LSU run against Kate Pay's team to close out regulation. Let's reset. 80-all is the score. There are foul issues to worry about for both teams. Flauget Johnson with 4 fouls. Anissa Morrow with 4 fouls. Clardy's got 4 for Stanford. Dimitri's been battling some cramps. She's going to head out there to jump center now for the Cardinal.
Both teams set up the wrong direction, so the officials get them straight now.
Actually, be Guerra to jump center. We've got it all straightened out. We're ready for overtime in the SEC ACC Women's Challenge. I've been so caught up in this game, somebody's got to give me a tote board. Is this going to decide the challenge overtime at the PMAC?
Right now, I don't even care about the rest of the challenge. This is that good here at the PMAC.
Here's Morrow. It's been a quiet game offensively. Williams, she knew it. It's a three, and LSU has a lead. Their only lead of the game before this moment was 3-0 on a Williams three-pointer to start the game. Stanford answers back with the two. Guerra now adds to her career high with 27.
Well, Eric, for LSU, who else but Michaela Williams needs very little space and time to get that three off to give LSU the lead. But then on the other end, Nunu Aguirre says not so fast. Once again, off the bounce with the touch at the rim.
Dave Wilson got it. First points since the first half for Dave Wilson. LSU by 3. Dimitri with the big size advantage on the post-up. Bozgana spinning inside and a foul. No, jump ball. Flau'jae Johnson, aggressive play, playing with the 4 fouls. But it's a tie-up. Possession arrow, Stanford.
Well, Bozgana does that reverse dribble. You see Flau'jae Johnson coming in, knowing she's going into that move, and gets the jump ball.
Clardy working on Dave Wilson. Dimitri, no. Williams the rebound. Dave Wilson wants to run, but she's the only one. Johnson telling her to slow down, and LSU will get things settled on offense.
LSU started with Samaya Smith on the floor, but quickly went back to the small lineup.
Dave Wilson lost the handle, got it back to get a shot off. That's Morrow on the glass. Aguirre's got the rebound for Stanford. That's her 12th. 27 and 12 for Nunu Aguirre. Looking to add to it on Morrow. Couldn't get it. And Morrow's got the rebound. That's her 16th board.
Kim Mulkey now being the de facto point guard for her ball club, as we've seen time after time, getting her players set in the offense she wants and where she wants them.
Flau'jae, Dave Wilson, Gilbert on the drive will earn a trip to the free throw line. A reminder, because we're in overtime, even though each team used up their timeouts in regulation, each team awarded 1 timeout here in OT. Aguirre's got 4.
Someone to keep an eye on right now is Brooke Dimitri. She's still laboring, and KP's going to give her sub here.
So Dimitri, battling cramps earlier, will come out of the game, and Courtney Ogden is back on. Gilbert hit the 3. That made it a 2-point game late in the 4th quarter. Williams tied it with 4 seconds left to send it to overtime. .21 for Kaylin Gilbert. She set new season highs in back-to-back games for her new team, LSU. Ariel. Aguirre skips it over Bozgana for 3. Williams with the rebound. 2-possession game, LSU with the lead and the ball. Gilbert as Aguirre shoots over and knocks it down. for Kaylin Gilbert. It's the largest lead of the night for LSU, and it comes in overtime. Aguera through the legs. Great handle and the great finish by Nunu.
The left-handed post player going to her right, win the one-on-one moves. Beautiful.
Gilbert settling things down, looks for Morrow. Morrow couldn't get it, but Aguera's got the rebound. Still plenty of time here for Stanford. One timeout, approaching a minute to go in overtime, down by 4. Bozgana gets tripped by Flaugier. She's fouled out. "21 points for Flaugier. 7th time this season she's gone for 20 or more.
And Eric, the leader of this team, huddles her team up before she exits and empowers each of them to get the W for her team.
Well, Miracle Shepard, who is an outstanding defensive player, transferred from Mississippi State, played just 2 minutes in this game. She comes on for Johnson, and Bozgana's at the free throw line. Excellent free throw shooter. "25 of 29 on the season, including what she's done tonight."
So if you're Stanford here, this is a must stop. And LSU is going to do this high on ball screen again and try to turn the corner from the top.
4 straight points for Stanford. Bring it down to a 1-possession game. Here's Dave Wilson for Gilbert. Gilbert trying to take Ogden off the dribble. Good job by Ogden defensively. 5 on the shot clock. It's Williams. 1-on-1. 3 on the way. It's good! Ariel can't answer. Shot clock is off. Stanford has to foul. Dave Wilson into the front court. And a foul on Nunu Aguera, and she has fouled out.
Well, why not? Michaela Williams, have yourself a night. Time after time in this game, she has stepped up and hit the big shot for LSU. It might as well be Sunday for Kim Mulkey there on that one. Thank you.
32 points for Michaela Williams. That's a new season high, her career high, 42 against Kent State last year, so you know she can get it going. She's trying to get the crowd going right now. 12 of 18 from the field, 5 of 9 from outside the three-point line, a rebound away from a double-double. 2 free throws coming for LSU. The night is done for Nunu Aguera, 29 points. 13 rebounds, a couple of assists. Six-point game. Bozgana, that's off the mark and off the top of the backboard. Guess who? Gilbert, who's had a huge game here tonight for LSU. Williams will get the headlines, but you cannot overstate the impact that Kaylin Gilbert had tonight for this LSU team off the bench.
Well, here's the bench points for LSU. It is 23 in this game. Gilbert has every bench point for LSU this evening.
Gilbert at the free throw line to shoot the 2. By the looks of it, those who tried to leave were let back into the building. to make sure the home court advantage was intact here at the PMAC. And those who left early probably won't do that again, because the Tigers showing some of that Tiger magic. Clardy to the basket. Final seconds. We'll see if Stanford lets it play out. They will. A comeback in Baton Rouge is complete. LSU wins it 94-88. Stanford led by 5 late in the fourth. It was 80-75 with 23 seconds left. Gilbert made a 3 with 17 seconds to go. Williams knocked down a 2 with 4 seconds left to take it to overtime. The SEC wins the SEC-ACC Women's Challenge 10-6. Couple of overtime games here tonight with Notre Dame and Texas going OT, and LSU led 3-0. Kim Mulkey's team trailed the whole game until Williams tied it in the final seconds, and then they win it in OT.
LSU made big shots, but this was the coming out party for Nunu Aguirre tonight. 29 points, 13 rebounds for the Stanford Cardinal.
What a thriller! LSU undefeated at 10-0. Fifth-ranked Tigers win it by a final score of 94-88. For Christy Thomas-Cuddy and our entire crew, I'm Eric Freed. Thank you for being with us. Coming up next, Big 12 Championship preview. So long from Baton Rouge.